Hello, what's up, Ketchup? It's Senzoy Z here, and today I'm going to share to you the 10 things that surprised me in Canada when I first moved here as a Filipino immigrant. But before I begin, I'll give you a little bit of background of myself so that you can see where I'm coming from and why these things surprised me. Because maybe these things is nothing new to you. I live most of my life in Asia. So I grew up in the Philippines till age 25, and then I moved to Singapore for work, and I lived in Singapore for 6 wonderful years. Then in 2011, me and my family decided that we'll migrate here in Canada. And I just want to throw it out there that I did not make any research prior moving to Canada. All I know is the car that I'm going to buy. Now, I know that sounds stupid, but that's for another story. So now that you have a little bit background of me on where I'm coming from, let's start with the 10 things that surprised me here in Canada. Tax. This is the biggest surprise for me and honestly made a huge impact on our finances. Well, it's my fault because I did not make any research before moving here. Now, depending on your income, you can easily get taxed around 40%. That's why for me, for anything about salary and bonuses, I just always tell myself that you'll only get 50% of it, so that at least I set my expectation low. I still remember the first time I received my bonus, they give you the numbers pre-tax. So that's why once you check your bank account, it's totally way off from what you can see on your bonus payslip. From then on, I always tell myself that anything related to your salary or income, always think that you'll only get half of it, so that you set your expectation low and you don't feel bad. Well, it's already bad as it is, but at least it doesn't give you a false sense of hope that you're getting this amount of money. Singapore has a very low taxation, as in very negligible, that I don't even care or think about it. That's why coming from Singapore and moving here in Canada is a big change for me. Another thing about tax is that for any good and services you purchase, tax is separate. So when you thought that you're going to pay $10 for the bread that you purchase in the grocery stores, think twice, because apparently there's 13% tax for any goods and services, meaning you'll have to pay $11.30. I'm like, damn, why not include the tax in the price itself so that it's easier for consumer to budget? Because no matter what you say that, hey, you know that there's 13% tax, what register on our mind, maybe that's a psychological thing, is the price that you see on the price tag. So if you see the bread costs $10, it's $10 when you budget it, it's $10 when you think about it, it's $10 when you eat it, and you never think about the tax because the tax only comes as an afterthought. I know there's some reasoning behind this, but if Asia and UK can do this, why can't they do this here in North America? I'm like, damn, make our life easier as a consumer. Just put that tax in the price, please. Owning a property here is crazy expensive. With a little bit of money saved from Singapore, I thought that I would be able to finally build my custom dream house, just like in the Philippines. And to my surprise, voila! Apparently the average houses here in Canada are predefined by the builders. And to have a custom built house, you need millions. And these days, it's even crazier because the average houses now cost 1 million and above. So imagine how much is a custom built house now. Probably it's around 4 million or 5 million. Crazy. With the income and cost of living, I can't imagine how people can afford to buy houses these days. I think that's one of the major problem right now why new immigrants or first-time home buyer are moving out of Canada. Because imagine buying a house for $1 million and it's just an average house. It's not even a big or fancy house. But then just right across the border, you can buy a similar house for half the price. You can get sued for anything, even for the small things. One of the instances that surprised me here in Canada was like, if you live in a house wherein your front has a sidewalk, it's publicly owned, but the thing is, it is your responsibility as the homeowner to make sure that during winter, that pathway is cleared and free from snow and ice. Fair enough, it is the homeowner's responsibility to have it cleared, but the crazy thing is, if someone gets into accident because you did not clear the snow or they slip because there was an ice in the pathway, you can get sued, and for sure you're held liable for that one. There are even crazier stories that I've heard. This one happened in the US, but I think happens as well in Canada because the laws between US and Canada is almost the same. This one person who sued McDonald's for giving them unhealthy foods and making them obese. Where's the accountability there? No one's forcing you to eat McDonald's. You have other options. You have a choice not to eat it. I just don't get it. Like, you have to be responsible and accountable for any actions that you make, for any decisions you made in your life. It is your responsibility. You cannot blame anyone for that one. Eating out is so expensive. In Singapore, they have these hawker centers where it's the cheaper alternative if you want to eat outside. It's kind of like a fast food, but way better. In there, you can get a generous amount of rice, vegetables, and meat for 5 Singapore dollars or less. At least at that time. I think now it's a little bit expensive, but still way cheaper than here. So when we moved here in 2011 and the first time we ate at a fast food place, I remember it's St. Bourbon Grill. I love that one. That one is already $10 with tax and everything. Then it became like $11.30. Eating outside just in fast food would cost you around $10 to $12 back then. Now these days it's even worse. The average cost for eating out in a fast food place is around $20. If you're eating in a restaurant, that's a different discussion, because for that one, for a family of 4 like us, it costs us around 200 Canadian dollars. You have to think of the tax and the tip as well. Plus the food itself is really expensive to begin with. I just went back to Philippines in 2022 and I was able to feed 20 people around the same price in a restaurant, no holds barred. I did not even pick the menu. I told them, order whatever you want in this menu. Tipping culture. I know this is a sensitive topic, but I really find it ridiculous. I do understand that most people who works in the service industries rely on tips rather than on their salaries. But the thing is, why bear the burden to the customers? Why not the employers give them proper salary? It's not forced upon you. You have an option to either give tips or not. But the thing is, if you don't give, you'll be frowned upon, or worse, you'll be confronted, which is most of the time you'll be confronted because people are not happy if you don't give any tips. It's not mandatory, but there's an unwritten rule that you have to give a tip, whether their service is bad or good. They leave the customers on a tipping dilemma. They will hand you over the machine. You have 4 options: 10%, 12%, 18%, 20%, or other amount that you want to give a tips. It's kind of funny. I find it kind of racist as well that only in Asian restaurants you can give 10% tip. Other restaurant, its minimum is like 12 or 15%. For a bigger group like 6 or more people, usually they have a minimum 18%. There's one incident that happened to me that I could never forget. So I was in a bar. I mean, this bar is quite huge and not just like a small pub, so that's why it's hard to get a waitress to serve you. So I went to the bar directly to get my beer. I went to this lady, which is just right in front of the beer tap. Like, she doesn't need to move. The beer tap is right in front of her. The glass is just reachable by hand. I ordered the beer from her, paid my drinks. I did not give tip because it's not like you're doing extra to serve me the beers. I went back to my seat, and a few minutes after, the lady asked me and told me, "Excuse me, sir, I think you forgot to put a tip." And I was like, no, I intentionally did not put a tip there, but it was just running on my mind. I eventually just gave her a tip. But I was really surprised, like, she has to go all the way to my seat just to tell me that, hey, you did not give any tip. So really, customer bears the tipping dilemma. There are times wherein the service is really, really good, but the thing is, you don't want to shell out more money, right? Maybe if the minimum is 12%, I go 15%, but nothing higher than that. I mean, 18%, I have no choice if we're in a big group. Even for the delivery guys, I mean, when you order something, sometimes tip is not specifically mentioned when you order online. So you don't know whether should I give this guy a tip for delivering me the food, even though I already paid a service charge. So it's really annoying. In Philippines, we do have this, but only selected restaurants. So you have an option, and you know that when you're eating on this restaurant, you have a tip or service charge. They call it service charge, and it's also incorporated on your bill. You don't need to like think like, oh, should I give them 10, 18 or whatever, because it's already fixed. Service charge is there. You just know that when you eat in this restaurant, you will have to pay service charge, and that gives the customer the option to whether I want to eat with a tip or I want to eat without a tip. I really hate this tipping culture here in North America. Well, that topic got me going. The other thing that surprised me in relation to eating out is splitting bills. Now in Asia, whenever we go out for drinks, dinner, or lunch, there's only one person who pays the bills, and then later on we'll just split the bill and then pay that person. But here, it is quite normal to ask the server if they can split the bills. I was surprised by that one, because imagine going like 10 or 15 of you going into a restaurant ordering different things, and then you expect the server to be able to keep track of who ordered order what. Pretty sure there's a process or there's a system that helps them remember these things, but still, it's really hard to keep track, especially if you're like in a crowded or a busy restaurant and there's loud noise. It takes some skills to remember who ordered what. I thought since Toronto is only a few hours away from the border of US, that most of the products available in the US are available also in Canada. And not only that the price is almost similar. But surprisingly, no, not all the products in the US are available in Canada. Plus, if they are available here in Canada, they are way more expensive. So that's why I can't understand. We're just neighbors. Can't we just have like a trade agreement with the US and that we put less tax on your products so that we get almost the same price as you? It feels like there's no difference as if you're living in Asia and buying a US product versus living in Canada and buying their product. I thought since we have US already as a neighbor, then whatever they have, we can have as well. Houses in Philippines are built using cement, block, and metal. So imagine to my surprise when I saw how houses are built here in Canada. They're just made of wood and dry walls. With my experience with typhoon and hurricane back in Asia, I don't think these kind of houses will hold on. But living here for the past 11 years made me realize that there's not much typhoon or hurricane that goes into Canada. But who knows, just recently there are a couple of tornado instances within the Greater Toronto area. I'm really scared that if those natural disasters starts happening here in Greater Toronto area, then our house will be completely demolished. Still related to house, what I didn't know is apparently you have to take care of your lawn. So when we purchased this house, one of the major deciding factor that we have is that this house has a above average size of backyard. I thought I was like having a big backyard, I could invite more people if you have parties, and I have plenty of space to do whatever I want, which is true. But what I didn't know that you have to maintain it. Maintaining your backyard during the summer is a pain in the You have to cut the grass at least every 2 weeks. You have to water the grass every other day. And the worst of all, you have to keep them weed free. As long as you have one weed and you let it grow, it will spread like pandemic. And that's what happened to our backyard. So our backyard now is like full of weeds instead of full of grass. So I just run them over my lawnmower so that they look like grass. That is not grass, that is weed. There's still some grass in there, but there are a lot of weeds during summer there. So I just ran them over. Probably I'm just not like a backyard guy. I don't like gardening. I don't like taking care of the grass. So I don't like this and I hate it. I wish I knew this before buying a house. Anyways, I had to go inside because it's chilly and I'm only wearing shirt. Coming from Singapore, which is a very advanced and progressive country, I would have thought that Canada as a first world country would be on par with Singapore. But to my surprise, the transportation system here is very archaic. In Singapore, the public transport, whether you take the MRT or the buses, it will take you anywhere you want within Singapore. Here in Canada, a 15 minutes drive could take you more than an hour if it happens to cross two cities. Like for example, going from Brampton to Mississauga. I experienced this myself when I first moved here and we don't have a car yet. To be fair though, Singapore is a very small country, that's why they were able to make a coverage just like that. Whereas in Canada, it's a big land of mass and people are scattered all over the places. So I think it's very expensive to build an effective transportation system. In Singapore, when you're in a bus stop, you know that you're in a bus stop because it does look like a bus stop and it gives you a lot of information. You don't even need to Google how to get to your destination because the bus stop gives you the information of which bus stops in that stop, and then they give you the estimated time of arrival of the next bus stop and their numbers, and then it also shows you the map as to where are all those buses are going to and which stops are they going to stop. Bus stops are like a mini terminal in Singapore. But here in Canada, good luck finding a bus stop because even finding a bus stop is really trivial. I could never forget the first time we took our bus in our new place. Even though we know which bus stop we have to go to, it took us a while to find that bus stop because some bus stops here are just small signboard attached to a lamp post or a post. We didn't realize that we're already there. We just did not see the sign that it's the bus stop. Those signs are just telling you it's a bus stop. It does tell you what bus that will stop on that one, but that's it. It's very minimal. It's really easy to miss those bus stops. And if you're planning to leave without Googling first, then good luck because you won't be able to find your way by just going to the bus stop. So anyways, that's it. I know there are other things that I was surprised of, but I only promised you 10 things. If you have other stories that you want to share, please share them in the comment section below and I would love to hear and talk about it. Thanks for watching and remember, live now and be happy.